So now I know I've thrown a lot of information at you. And right now, all we're doing is assigning, maybe slicing, maybe calling. But that's not really a lot. So now let's start digging into one of the examples of how I've been talking about how awesome this community is and the things that are already out there for you. So right now we're going to look at 4 built-in functions. So I was calling my variable name and it comes out with quotation marks around it. So I want to talk about one of the first functions that you need to learn, print. And if you look really close, something happens after you complete the T. It goes purple. I love teaching this function first. Print purple parentheses. So what you'll see is one of the things that Python does for you is that it gives you a guide, it gives you feedback about how things are going for you. So if I'm a horrible speller and I type fast and I make all kinds of mistakes. Okay, so print is, oh, and I'm dyslexic. So, and I see that print is not purple. Oh, I left out an I. So it's a little bit of a double check. Now, I do print purple parentheses to really cement and concrete in that you need to make sure that when you're using a function, you use parentheses. So you use the parentheses to pass in the information. And here's another thing that this even works with shell. Gives you a little gray out. Just like another example, beginning parentheses, end parentheses. There we go. So now when I press enter, oh wow, I get this nice pretty version of the variable. No quotation marks, no anything. So now let's move on to type. So here's another function that is out there. So now I told you name the type of variable that was a string. Okay. The abbreviation for string is str. And then we have f and I believe x. So let's do type x. The abbreviated version for integer is int. And let's keep moving this up. And then we have float. So then we have f. And it spells out float for you. So these are the variables. So this proves that I know what I'm talking about. But you might be sitting there going, why? Why do you need to know that? You just assign them. You just know, that. Well, there's going to be plenty of times that you're going to be getting a variable back and you're going to be trying to do something to it and you're going to be getting this error. And you're going to want to run this function on that variable to make sure it's the type of variable that you're expecting. You're going to get feedback and it's going to tell you, hey, this isn't a float. You can't, it's a string right now. You need to change this and convert it over. If you can't do math with a string, or can you? So now, said there was going to be 4. So we did print and type. So now we need to look at dir. I love this function and you'll begin to love it too. So what dir does, if you don't pass any information, it spits out all the variables that you have in memory. But we need to look at this. So dir on str. Oh, okay. What is this? This is all the stuff you can do with that object. So we need to talk about this for a second. Everything in Python is an object. It's information, it's an object you can do stuff to or stuff with. So now, so that was dir on our string. Now let's look at dir on int. Here's everything we can do. And let's look at dir on float. And here's everything we can do with this. So now you might go, well, how helpful is this? Help. So if I pass in help on string, this is what's called documentation. And the further you go along in your learning, in your education, this is where you will begin to go and find out what you need to do and how you need to use it. So I showed you the list dir, and you saw all these little comments and all these little words. These are the things that you can do with them. And this is an expanded version with directions and how they are used. So now if I come down here, and that was string, so this is help on int, same thing, and then help on float. Python never leaves you hanging. The developers never leave you hanging. People who write libraries and modules always have. That's one of the rules of programming. Make sure you have good documentation. So there we go, guys. Stay tuned, and we'll keep moving.